Greetings, welcome back to Blackburn News, where we are discussing the ongoing effects of climate change, abrupt climate change, destruction of the biosphere. Going to jump right into it. A lot to cover and little time to do it, as usual. Update on the campfire in Northern California. California, as they called it in the old days. More than 1,000 people unaccounted for in California wildfire. 1,000 people unaccounted for. The death toll from the campfire in Northern California increased to 71 people, while 1,011 people are unaccounted for. The Butte County Sheriff said Friday. Sheriff Corey Honea cautioned the list is dynamic and will fluctuate. Wow. Firefighters gained ground against the two deadly California wildfires on Friday, but residents in northern parts of the state faced a new threat, the dirtiest air quality levels in the world. And yes, was it Fiesta was telling me that in San Francisco, the air AQI was over 200 into like the 230s, which is really bad. And the schools, I checked it out, schools were closed. People were told to just basically stay indoors. Do not breathe the air. Rain could help knock down the flames Tuesday evening, but officials said it could also complicate efforts to find human remains. In Southern California, more residents were being allowed back in their homes after the Woolsey fire torched an area the size of Denver and destroyed more than 600 homes and other structures. The blaze, 69% contained by Friday night. Still ongoing situation. I'm going to link this below so y'all can check this out, check this article out if you cannot find it on the Google. And moving on to an article that I was covered by Jimmy Dore, but I'm just going to take his content matter because it's applicable to this channel, definitely. But I found this extremely interesting, somewhat hopeful. Who knows how much hope we can put in this, but it's something, somebody somewhere is doing something and being outspoken about it, and they actually happen to be in the government, and you know, so good news on some level. This is from Vox. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez is already pressuring Nancy Pelosi on climate change. So apparently they staged a protest in Nancy Pelosi's office. This is from November 15th by David Roberts. On Tuesday, close to 200 climate activists crowded into the Capitol building, offices of House Minority Leader Nancy Pelosi, who will reassume the position of House Speaker when the new Congress is sworn in come January. Trump is endorsing her, so that can't be good. There are challenges to her speakership, and I hope that those challenges are worthy and successful, because Nancy Pelosi is not your friend. Not my friend. Definitely, if you're concerned about climate change, she's not your friend. However, she has not taken money from the fossil fuel industry, which is very interesting. What is she actually doing about climate change? Not much, really. The activists called on Pelosi to lead Democrats in developing an ambitious, comprehensive plan to address climate change, a Green New Deal. Where have we heard this from? We've heard this from the Green Party, from Jill Stein and Amaju Baraka. Or Ajamu, sorry. Am I saying that right? I think I'm being dyslexic with his name. Halfway through the protest, rising Democratic star Representative-elect Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez visited to show her support, which drew a torrent of media coverage. Ajamu. Baraka. New Dem star protest speaker on the first day of freshman orientation. The media loved it. I'll be honest, though, I've seen intra-left disputes on climate change reprise themselves over and over again to no one's benefit. And when I heard about this protest, I felt a twinge of dread. Why target Pelosi, who has always been a climate champion? Is she a climate champion? And how is she supposed to have a comprehensive climate plan already when she hasn't even taken the gavel? Well, she's been the Speaker of the House since 2003. She's been either minority or the Speaker of the House, or minority leader since 2003. So what's the deal? It's only been 15 years. How is she supposed to have a comprehensive climate plan already when she hasn't taken the gavel? Aren't there worse enemies to protest of the climate to protest? But I talked it out on Twitter, emailed a few of the organizers, and now have a better handle on what's going on. And it turns out to be quite a bit richer and more significant than what you might get from the headlines. As I said in my Monday post on Democratic climate strategy in a polarized era, there are three basic prongs of a unilateral left strategy. The first is using House congressional committees to investigate and slow President Trump's deregulatory agenda. The second is accelerating policy innovation in states that Democrats can control. The third is defining a long-term comprehensive federal climate agenda for when, if Democrats regain the power to implement one. This is why climate activists swarmed Pelosi's office. The left is making an early bid to set the highest bar possible for the 2020 Democratic climate change agenda. Well, let's hope that bar is high enough, because the bar has not been very high. Here's how it unfolded and what's at stake: a proposal to create a committee on steroids. Climate hawks received a few disconcerting signals in the wake of the midterm elections, which turned out to be a much bigger victory for Democrats than they appeared early on. Peace in the Hill reported that House Democrats had no plans to move on climate change, which appeared nowhere in their list of priorities. Meanwhile, Pelosi, who is very much intent on keeping her speakership, started talking the day after the election about a bipartisan marketplace of ideas, which is not exactly what you call reading the room. Pelosi had signaled that she planned to revive the Select Committee on Energy Independence and Global Warming, but activists and the incoming class of social democrats wanted something much bolder. They needed something to rally around. And here it is. AOC plans to introduce a draft resolution that would put parameters around the committee, its work, and its membership. It is bold, to say the least. The resolution, supported by the Sunrise Movement and Justice Democrats, two youth-led organizations pushing for a Green New Deal, has a number of interesting provisions, but two demands are central: that the committee be given a mandate to develop a Green New Deal that would decarbonize the U.S. economy, and that no members be appointed who accept donations from the fossil fuel industry. Specifically, the committee shall have authority to develop a detailed national industrial economic mobilization plan for the transition of the United States economy to become carbon neutral and to significantly draw down and capture greenhouse gases from the atmosphere and oceans, and to promote economic and environmental justice and equality. It would be required to produce a draft plan by January 1st, 2020, and draft legislation by March 1st, 2020. In other words, the committee must produce a package of legislation ready to move if Democrats take power in the 2020 elections. Here are the goals of the resolution sets for the Green New Deal. 100% of national power generation from renewable sources. 2, building a national energy efficient smart grid. 3, upgrading every residential and industrial building for state-of-the-art energy efficiency, comfort, and safety. 4, decarbonizing the manufacturing, agricultural, and other industries. 5, decarbonizing, repairing, and improving transportation and other infrastructure. 6, funding massive investment in the drawdown and capture of greenhouse gases. 7, making green technology, industry, expertise, products, and services a major export of the United States, with the aim of becoming the undisputed international leader in helping other countries transition to completely carbon neutral economies and bringing about a global Green New Deal. That pretty much covers it. It's difficult to imagine how you can get any more ambitious than that. Well, for the state of the government as it is, that is ambitious. For the actual state of climate change, it's probably not ambitious enough, but it's a start. That's all I'm going to read of that article. I'm going to link it below, but interesting stuff. And I'm quite impressed by Ocasio-Cortez, and I'm impressed that she's making these moves. You know, we'll see how much of the silent treatment she gets from the media, probably a lot. The media doesn't ever cover Bernie Sanders except for to smear him. They don't cover Tulsi Gabbard anymore. I love Tulsi Gabbard. She is in the Where They Now file right now, because you never hear her name in the media, and that's on purpose, because Tulsi Gabbard is she's more of a radical person in the government, and they just don't want to hear what she has to say. They don't want what she has to say being broadcast in the news as much as possible. I mean, you really don't hear much of from Elizabeth Warren. You don't hear anything from the actual the Democrats that are, more progressive, more firebrand. You don't hear from them. Bernie Sanders is quite outspoken on climate change, but the only place you would ever see him is on Facebook or Twitter. You would never hear his name or hear his climate policies mentioned in the media, even though he has quite a few. This is about going to wrap it up from this video. I wanted to read one more article. Oh, where did you go? Article. Where are we at? Of course, I've got, there are a ton. I literally could spend, I've said this before, I could spend all day making these videos. I could make 3 or 4 or 5 of these videos a day. There are too many, there's just too much information out there about the ongoing effects of climate change and climate change as a topic. Okay, here we go. Couldn't find this in my list, but this is actually a little bit older. This is from a month ago. From the BBC, single-use plastics ban approved by the European Parliament. The European Parliament has voted for a complete ban on a range of single-use plastics across the Union in a bid to stop pollution of the oceans. MEPs backed a ban on plastic cutlery and plates, cotton buds, straws, drink stirrers, and balloon sticks. The proposal also calls for a reduction in single-use plastic for food and drink containers like plastic cups. One MEP said if no action was taken by 2050, there will be more plastic than fish in the oceans. The European Commission proposed a ban in May, following a surge in public support attributed to documentaries such as David Attenborough's BBC Blue Planet series. The measure still has to clear some procedural hurdles, but is expected to go through. The EU hopes it will go into effect across the bloc by 2021, which is still a little ways away. But hopefully, maybe, possibly, this can spur the same kind of bans worldwide. So that's it. I'm going to link this below. That's all I have for you in this video. Thank you so much for your eyes, your ears, and your conscience. If you would like to support this channel, if you would like to see more videos from me, you can support at the links below. I'm currently working a string of 10-hour days that has been now 6 days long, and going to include probably a couple more days this week. That's just what's necessary in order to sustain what's going on in my life. But it is definitely, the work is getting in the way of me making these videos and doing other things that are closer to my heart and soul. Yep, that about wraps it up. Until next time, peace.